The night was heavy with rain. The sky roared with thunder, and the river near the small town of Maple Creek swelled with dark water. Daniel Carter sat alone in his wooden house at the edge of the forest. He was a man who had lived many quiet years, a man who preferred silence after losing much in life. But that night, silence was broken by something strange. Through the storm, Daniel heard a sound. At first, he thought it was the wind, but then it came again, a sharp cry, thin and desperate. His heart froze. It was the cry of a baby. Daniel stood quickly, pulling on his jacket. The sound carried from the river. His boots splashed in the mud as he ran through the pouring rain. The trees bent under the storm. The air was cold and sharp, but he didn't stop. He knew what he heard was real. When he reached the riverbank, his eyes widened. In the middle of the rushing water, something glowed faintly. It was a small bundle, turning and twisting against the current. The cry came again, weak but clear. Daniel didn't think. He jumped into the water. The icy current pulled at his legs, tried to drag him down, but he fought forward. His arms reached for the glowing bundle. His fingers caught it just before the current could swallow it. Holding it close, he stumbled back to the shore, his body shaking from the cold. He pulled the blanket aside, expecting a child, but what he saw made his breath catch. The baby had silver eyes, brighter than the storm. The skin was pale with faint, glowing lines like patterns across its arms. It was not a normal child. It was something else, something otherworldly. Daniel carried the baby home. His heart pounded not only from the river, but from fear and wonder. Who had left this child in the water? Why did it look like no human child he had ever seen? Inside his small cabin, he lit the fire. The flames danced against the walls, warming the wet air. He placed the baby on a blanket. The child stopped crying and stared at him with those glowing eyes, as if it already understood him. Daniel whispered softly, "What are you?" His voice shook. He was talking to himself as much as to the baby. Hours passed. The storm raged outside, but inside the cabin the baby was calm. Every time Daniel moved too far away, the child cried. When he returned, it smiled. It was almost human, almost normal, but not fully. Later, as the fire burned low, Daniel's eyes grew heavy. He sat back in a chair, the baby in his arms. Just before he drifted to sleep, something strange happened. The baby raised a small hand, touched his chest, and spoke. Not in English, not in any language Daniel knew. The sound was soft like music, but also strange. Just one word whispered into the room. Daniel froze, his eyes opened wide. He had heard it clear. The baby had spoken. He whispered again, "What are you?" His hands trembled. The baby only blinked, calm and silent now. That night Daniel didn't sleep. He couldn't. His mind filled with questions. Who had sent this baby? Why had it come through the river? Was it left here by someone? Or did it fall from the sky? As dawn began to rise, the storm faded. The forest grew quiet again. Daniel stood at the window, holding the baby, staring at the sky. And deep in the distance, beyond the clouds, far above the earth, two shadows moved. Two tall figures watched from a ship hidden in the dark. Their voices were cold but certain. "We have found the signal," one said. "The child is alive," the other whispered. "And soon we will claim it." Daniel Carter had no idea that his simple act of rescue had already changed his life. He had no idea that the baby in his arms would bring strangers to his door, strangers not from Earth. The river had given him more than a child. It had given him a secret that would bring danger, a secret that would draw eyes from beyond the stars. The baby stirred and clung to his shirt. Daniel looked down, a strange warmth filling his chest. For the first time in many years, he felt needed. He felt alive. But in the silence of the morning, he did not see the sky shimmer with faint lights. He did not know that two mysterious women were already coming for him. The morning after the storm was quiet. The river flowed calmly, as if nothing unusual had happened. Yet inside Daniel Carter's cabin, everything had changed. The baby lay wrapped in soft blankets near the fire. Its silver eyes followed Daniel wherever he moved. Sometimes the eyes glowed faintly, and every time they did, Daniel felt a strange warmth in his chest. It was not fear, it was not pain, it was something else, something he could not explain. At first, Daniel tried to treat the child as normal. He warmed milk, fed the baby carefully, and changed its blanket. But soon he realized this was no ordinary baby. The child grew fast, not in size, but in awareness. By the second day, the baby reached for objects and moved them without touching them. A wooden spoon slid across the table on its own. A cup lifted slightly before falling back. Daniel's hand shook when he saw it. He whispered, "This isn't possible." Yet when the baby smiled, Daniel's fear softened. It was not dangerous, at least not to him. At night, strange dreams haunted him. He dreamed of stars stretching endlessly, of alien voices whispering in languages he did not know. He saw images of great cities made of shining towers, burning under fire from unknown weapons. Every time he woke, the baby was staring at him as if it knew what he had seen. Rumors began to spread in town. Farmers spoke of strange lights in the sky during the storm. A hunter swore he saw something glowing fall into the river. Old Mrs. Harlow told her neighbors she heard music in the wind. The townsfolk laughed at her, but Daniel felt his stomach tighten. He knew they had seen pieces of the truth. The baby's powers grew stronger. When it cried, the lights in the cabin flickered. Once, the fire flared so high Daniel thought it would burn the roof. But the baby laughed, and the flames returned to normal. Daniel began to fear that the outside world would notice soon. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the forest, Daniel rocked the child in his arms. "Who are you?" he whispered. The baby blinked, then softly, in a voice far too clear for such a small child, it spoke again. This time the word was longer, sharper. "Alien." Daniel froze. The sound seemed to echo in his mind. He almost dropped the baby but held it tight. "You can't be real," he said. His voice trembled, but deep inside, he knew the child was very real. Far above Earth, in the silent cold of space, a ship hovered unseen. Inside, two tall figures studied a glowing screen. Both women were dressed in dark armor that shimmered faintly. Their eyes glowed faintly like the baby's. One of them, stern and cold, said, "The child survived the fall." The other, softer in tone, replied, "We must retrieve it before the humans discover too much." The first woman narrowed her eyes. "Do not forget, sister, the child carries the mark of power. If it bonds with one of them, the balance will shift." The second woman looked uncertain. "And yet, the human has already saved it. Perhaps fate chose him." Daniel had no idea that he was being watched, no idea that two alien guardians were already coming for him. He only knew that life around him was becoming stranger each day. The next morning, as he stepped outside, Daniel saw something that made his heart pound. Burn marks, black circles, on the grass near the river. The earth smelled of smoke, though no fire had touched it. He knelt and touched the ground. It was warm. He carried the baby back inside quickly. His instinct screamed danger. Someone or something was near. He locked the doors, though he knew a lock would never stop whatever had left those marks. Inside, the baby stretched out its small hand toward him. The glowing lines on its skin brightened. Suddenly Daniel felt a voice inside his mind, not spoken aloud, but clear, a thought that was not his own. "Protect me," Daniel gasped, dropping the blanket he was holding. His breath came fast. He looked at the child, who only stared back with wide silver eyes. That night, the dreams came again. Only this time they were stronger. He saw two tall women in dark armor walking across alien ground. He saw them stepping through fire, searching. Their voices carried through his mind. "We must find the child. We will find the human who took it." Daniel woke with sweat on his forehead. The baby was restless. It cried and pointed to the window. Daniel followed its gaze. His blood ran cold. Out in the forest, past the trees, two shapes moved in the dark, tall, silent, watching his cabin. Daniel's heart hammered in his chest. He knew now that his rescue at the river was only the beginning. Something was coming for him, something not of this world. And the worst part, deep inside, he felt they were already too close. The night air was sharp and heavy. Daniel sat in his cabin with the baby in his arms. Every sound outside made him tense. The trees groaned in the wind, and the river whispered in the dark. Yet it was not the forest that filled him with fear. It was the shapes he had seen, tall shadows watching from the edge of the woods. The baby stirred, its silver eyes glowing faintly. Daniel whispered. "It's all right." Though he didn't believe his own words, he checked the door again. Then the windows. His cabin had never felt so small, so fragile. Hours passed. The silence was too heavy. Then came the sound that made Daniel's blood run cold. A knock. 3 sharp knocks against the wooden door, firm and slow. Daniel froze, his body stiff. He did not move at first. His mind screamed at him to stay silent, to wait, but the knocking came again, louder this time, deliberate. He whispered to the baby, "Quiet now." He placed the child in a basket near the fire, then moved toward the door. His hand hovered over the handle. His heart pounded in his ears. With a slow breath, he pulled it open. On his porch stood 2 women. They were tall, almost unnaturally tall. Their faces looked human, but their eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight. One had sharp, stern features and carried herself like a soldier. The other seemed calmer, her expression softer, but her gaze just as piercing. "Daniel Carter," the stern one said. Her voice was deep, controlled. "You have something that does not belong to you." Daniel's breath caught. His eyes flicked to the basket inside. The baby stirred and whimpered as if it knew. The softer woman stepped forward. "We do not wish harm," she said. Her voice was like a song, smooth and unsettling. "We came for what is ours." Daniel shook his head slowly. This child was drowning. He said, "I saved it. If it belongs anywhere, it belongs with me." The stern woman's lips tightened. "You do not understand what you hold. That child carries power that no human should touch." The baby began to cry. A soft light spread from its small hands, filling the cabin with a faint glow. The 2 women both froze, their eyes widening. The softer one whispered, "It is bonded with him already." Daniel stepped back, his body tense. "Will you?" he asked. His voice was rough but steady. The stern woman raised her chin. "We are guardians," she said, "sent to retrieve the heir. That child is not yours. It is not of your world. Give it to us before it destroys you." Daniel felt his chest tighten. The baby's cries grew louder, and the glow pulsed like a heartbeat. He moved quickly, scooping the child back into his arms. "No one is taking him," he said, his voice firm, though fear twisted inside him. For a moment, silence filled the room. The fire crackled. The storm whispered outside. The 2 women stared at him with eyes like steel. Then, the softer one spoke again. "Listen to me, Daniel Carter. That child is not safe here. Already others know of its presence. Already hunters are coming. If you keep it, your world will bleed." Daniel's hands tightened on the baby. His heart pounded. He wanted to ask more, wanted to demand answers, but before he could speak, a noise outside shattered the silence. Engines, low and rumbling. Lights swept through the forest, harsh beams cutting between the trees. A heavy vehicle stopped near the cabin. Doors slammed. Boots crunched on wet ground. Voices shouted. The stern woman's eyes flashed. "They are here already," she said. "Your people have found the signal." Daniel's chest filled with panic. He stepped back, clutching the baby. "What do you mean, my people?" he whispered. The softer woman turned her gaze toward the window. Her face was unreadable. "Humans," she said. "Soldiers, they will take the child from you. They will study it. They will break it. You must choose now. Daniel Carter, give the child to us, or watch your kind tear it apart." The baby's glow grew brighter, filling the cabin with silver light. The soldiers outside shouted as they saw it through the windows. Guns clicked. Orders rang out. Daniel's breath came fast. His mind raced. The 2 alien women stepped closer, their presence heavy, their eyes fixed on the child. The stern one whispered, "Hand it over." The softer one whispered, "Trust us." Daniel stood between them. The baby pressed his chest. Outside, armed men surrounded his cabin. Inside, 2 mysterious alien women waited for his answer. And Daniel knew that whatever choice he made, his life, and perhaps the future of the world, would never be the same. The cabin shook with voices outside. Harsh commands cut through the night. Daniel could hear boots crunching against the wet ground, rifles clicking as soldiers moved into position. The glow from the baby lit the wooden walls like silver fire. Daniel's chest tightened. He stood in the center of the cabin, clutching the child close. In front of him were 2 alien women, one stern, sharp as iron, the other softer, almost kind, behind them. Danger pressed against the door with every shout from the soldiers. The stern woman spoke first. Her voice was cold and steady. "You cannot protect it. Give the child to us. We are its guardians. You are only human." Daniel's jaw clenched. His arms tightened protectively. "I saved this child," he said. "I will not hand it over to strangers who speak in riddles." The baby whimpered, glowing brighter. The softer woman stepped forward, her eyes meeting Daniel's. "You do not understand," she said gently. "That child is more than a child. It carries power, a destiny that will shape worlds, but it is also hunted. Others will come, stronger than your soldiers. If you keep it, you risk more than your life. You risk your planet." Daniel felt torn. His heart told him to keep the baby, but his mind screamed of danger. The soldiers outside pounded at the door. "Open up," one barked. "This is government property now. Hand it over." The baby clung to Daniel's shirt, small fingers glowing. And then, in Daniel's mind, a voice echoed, soft and clear, "Do not leave me." He staggered, his eyes widened. "It spoke," he whispered. The two women exchanged glances. The stern one narrowed her eyes. "It is bonded," she muttered. "This will complicate everything." Daniel backed toward the fire. "No," he said firmly. "I won't give him to anyone. Not you, not them." The stern woman's expression hardened. Her hand rose, light flickering at her fingertips. Daniel felt the pressure of her will, heavy as a storm. But before she could act, the softer one raised her arm and blocked her. "No," the softer woman said. "We cannot force this. The bond is made. If we take the child by force, it will die." The soldiers outside began breaking down the door. The wood cracked. Daniel's heart pounded. He was trapped. The softer woman turned to him, urgency burning in her eyes. "If you truly want to protect it, you must come with us. There's a way out, but you must trust me." Daniel hesitated. His whole life had been quiet, ordinary. He never asked for this, never wanted war. Yet the baby in his arms looked up at him with glowing eyes full of trust. The door slammed open. Soldiers stormed inside, rifles raised. Their leader shouted, "Step away from the infant. Hands where we can see them." Time froze. Daniel saw the two women standing on either side of him, one demanding the child, one offering help, soldiers pointing weapons, the baby glowing brighter and brighter. The choice was his. Daniel's voice came out rough but steady. "I'm not giving him to you," he said to the soldiers. He turned to the softer woman. "Show me the way." The soldiers shouted. Weapons fired. The stern woman swept her hand. A burst of energy knocked bullets aside. Daniel felt the cabin walls shake. Smoke filled the air. The baby wailed, its glow turning into a brilliant silver shield around them. "Follow me," the softer woman shouted. She kicked open the back wall with unnatural strength. Beyond the cabin, the dark forest waited, lit by searchlights and fire. Daniel ran. The baby held tight against his chest. The softer woman beside him, the stern one following reluctantly. Outside, soldiers gave chase, beams of light slashing through the trees. The night echoed with the sound of pursuit. Daniel's lungs burned. His legs ached, but he did not stop. The baby's glow guided him through the dark. Every step carried him further from the life he had once known, deeper into a mystery he could no longer escape. Behind them, voices roared. "Don't let them get away." Drones buzzed overhead. Soldiers pushed through the brush. The forest became a battlefield. The softer woman touched Daniel's shoulder. "There is a place," she said, "a ship hidden near the riverbank. We can reach it if we survive this night." Daniel gritted his teeth. He had made his choice. He would protect the child, whatever it took, but deep inside, he knew the world he once called simple and safe was gone. The baby's voice echoed in his mind again. Not words, but feelings, trust, hope, and fear. Daniel pressed it closer, whispering, "I'll protect you, I promise." And as the forest blazed with searchlights and the chase grew fierce, Daniel Carter realized that his promise had bound him not only to the child, but to something far greater than himself. The forest was alive with chaos. Daniel ran with the baby clutched tight in his arms. His breath came hard, his legs burned, but he did not stop. Behind him, soldiers shouted, searchlights cut through the trees. and drones buzzed like angry insects. The softer alien woman moved beside him with ease, her strides long and graceful. The stern one followed close behind, deflecting bullets with waves of energy that shimmered in the dark. Daniel felt the ground tremble each time she raised her hand. The baby glowed brighter, its silver light guiding Daniel through the tangled woods. Each time Daniel thought he would stumble, warmth from the child filled him with strength. It was as if the baby refused to let him fall. Bullets tore through branches. Soldiers were gaining ground. Daniel ducked behind a fallen log as shots splintered the bark. The stern woman stepped forward, her eyes flashing. With a sweep of her arm, she sent a shockwave rippling through the ground. Soldiers were thrown back like leaves in the wind. Daniel stared in disbelief. "What are you people?" he whispered. The softer woman glanced at him. "Not your enemy," she said firmly. "But if you wish to survive, you must keep moving." They pressed deeper into the forest. The baby stirred, its small hand gripping Daniel's shirt. And once again a thought touched his mind. They will not stop. Daniel shivered. He believed it. The soldiers were relentless. He could hear them regrouping, shouting orders. Their leader barked, "Bring me the child alive. I don't care about the rest." The softer woman urged Daniel onward. "The ship is near, hidden where the river bends. If we reach it, we can escape this hunt." The ground sloped downward, mud slippery under Daniel's boots. He nearly fell, but the woman caught his arm and pulled him steady. The stern one stayed behind to slow their pursuers. Bright flashes lit the night as she fought, her power striking like lightning. Suddenly, drones swooped overhead. Their red eyes scanned the ground. Daniel ducked, clutching the baby. The drones fired beams that scorched the earth. The baby cried, and the air rippled for a moment. The beams bent away, harmless. Daniel's eyes widened. "It protected us," he whispered. The softer woman nodded. "The air's power is awakening. It will not let harm come to the one it trusts." They broke through the trees, and there it was, the river glimmering faintly under the moonlight. At the bend, half hidden beneath roots and rocks, lay something unnatural, a metallic curve, smooth and glowing faintly blue. A ship, buried for who knew how long. Daniel's breath caught. "That's real," he whispered. The softer woman's eyes narrowed. "It is more than real. It is salvation." But before they could reach it, soldiers burst from the trees, their rifles aimed, searchlights blinding. The leader stepped forward, his face hard. "End this," he shouted. "Hand over the child now, or we will take it from your corpse." Daniel's heart pounded. He clutched the baby tighter. The baby's glow flared, bathing him in silver light. The softer woman moved between him and the soldiers, her hands raised. "Stand down," she commanded. Her voice carried power, but the men did not listen. The stern woman emerged from the trees behind, her armor scorched, her expression fierce. She raised her hand and unleashed a wall of force that knocked soldiers sprawling. Trees cracked and fell under the pressure. Daniel ran toward the buried ship. The softer woman guided him, pressing her palm against the smooth surface. Lines of light spread across the metal, as if it recognized her touch. With a hiss, an entrance opened, revealing a dark passage glowing with blue veins of light. "Inside," she urged. Daniel hesitated, looking back at the chaos. The stern woman fought like a storm, her movements sharp and merciless. Soldiers fired again and again, but their bullets bent in the air or shattered against invisible shields. Daniel stepped into the ship, his chest tight, the baby calmed in his arms, its glow softening. Inside, the air was warm, filled with a faint hum. The walls pulsed with life. It did not feel like metal. It felt alive. The softer woman entered behind him, sealing the entrance. Outside, the battle still raged. Daniel could hear shouts and blasts muffled by the ship's walls. The woman touched the glowing surface, speaking in a language Daniel did not know. The ship responded, lights flaring brighter. Daniel whispered, "What is this place?" The woman turned to him, her expression serious. "A vessel of the royal line. It was hidden here for this day, for the heir's survival." The baby cooed softly, resting against Daniel's chest. Its silver eyes blinked up at him. For the first time, Daniel felt a strange calm. Yet in the back of his mind, fear still lingered. This was only the beginning. The stern woman entered at last. Her armor cracked. Blood at her lip. She glared at Daniel, but said nothing. Her eyes went to the child, then to the glowing walls of the ship. "They know now," she said darkly. "Your kind has seen too much. The hunt will only grow." Daniel looked down at the baby, then back at the women. "Then I'll protect him," he said quietly. His voice was firm, though his hands trembled. The ship rumbled beneath them, as if agreeing. Lights flared brighter. A deep hum filled the chamber. Outside, soldiers shouted, their voices desperate, but they could no longer touch what was inside. The chase through the forest was over, but Daniel knew this was not victory. This was only the first step into a world he was not ready for, a world that had now chosen him. The ship's walls pulsed with soft blue light. The hum beneath Daniel's feet was steady, like a heartbeat. He stood inside the strange vessel, holding the baby close, his breath still heavy from the chase. The softer alien woman placed her hand on the wall. Symbols appeared, glowing and shifting. The ship responded to her touch, opening passageways deeper inside. Daniel followed slowly, every step filling him with awe and fear. The stern woman walked behind them, silent and watchful. Her eyes burned with tension. She did not look at Daniel, only at the baby, as if measuring something beyond his understanding. They entered a chamber shaped like a circle, its ceiling arched high, filled with stars that seemed real, not painted. The baby stirred, its silver eyes reflecting the starry glow. Then, for the first time, Daniel felt a rush of images in his mind. He saw vast alien cities, towers of light stretching into the sky. He saw fleets of ships crossing space. He saw fire raining down, war tearing those cities apart. And in the middle of it all, he saw a throne, empty but waiting. Daniel gasped, clutching his head. The softer woman steadied him. "The child is showing you fragments," she said gently. "You are bonded now. It will share what it sees, what it remembers." Daniel's voice shook. "Who is he?" The woman's eyes softened. "Not he, not she, the heir, born of a line that rules beyond the stars. The child you hold carries the blood of kings and queens, empires and armies. It is the last of its line." Daniel stared down at the baby. It looked back at him, so small, so fragile. Could something like this truly hold the fate of worlds? The stern woman finally spoke, her voice sharp. "Enough riddles. Tell him the truth." Her gaze cut toward Daniel. "The child is more than an heir. It is a weapon, born with power that could bend armies. With it, worlds will kneel. Without it, empires fall." Daniel's stomach turned. "A weapon," he repeated. He held the baby tighter. "No, it's just a child." The stern woman's lips curled in disdain. "You think because it clings to you, it is harmless? That glow you cradle could shatter mountains when grown. Do you truly believe it belongs in human hands?" The softer woman's tone hardened. "Enough, sister. He does not see a weapon. He sees life. That is why the bond was formed." Daniel looked between them, confusion and anger boiling inside. "Then which of you is telling the truth?" The baby stirred again. A soft voice echoed in his mind. Not words this time, but emotions, fear, sadness, and a longing to be safe. Daniel's grip tightened. "I don't care about empires or thrones. I'll protect this child. Whatever it is, it deserves more than to be used." The softer woman gave a faint smile. The stern woman's eyes narrowed. "Your human weakness blinds you," she said, her tone sharp. "Protection is not enough. Already others are coming, hunters, warlords, even your own kind. They will tear your world apart for the air." The ship shook suddenly. A deep vibration rolled through its walls. Daniel staggered. The softer woman looked at the ceiling, her face pale. "They found us." Lights flashed across the starry ceiling. A massive shadow filled the view. A warship, dark and vast, hovered above the forest. Its hull bristled with weapons, its presence heavy as a storm. Daniel's chest tightened. "What is that?" The stern woman's eyes gleamed coldly. "The Empire's hunters," she said. "They have come to reclaim what is theirs." The softer woman's voice dropped. Not all of them serve the air. Some wish to control it. Some wish to end it. And some, she looked at her sister with suspicion, some have their own plans. Daniel froze, his eyes shot to the stern woman. Her expression was unreadable, but something dark flickered in her gaze. The baby whimpered, glowing brighter, as if sensing the tension. "Tell me," Daniel said sharply, his voice breaking the silence. "Are you truly here to protect this child, or are you here to take it for yourself?" The stern woman did not answer. Her jaw tightened. Her silence spoke louder than words. The baby's glow flared suddenly, bathing the chamber in silver light. In Daniel's mind came another vision. The stern woman standing on a throne. Armies kneeling before her. The image vanished, leaving him shaken. Daniel turned to her, his voice low. "You want the child not to protect it, but to use it." The softer woman stepped between them. "Daniel, listen to me. Not all who call themselves guardians are true. The heir has chosen you for a reason. Trust the bond, not her." The ship trembled again as blasts from above rattled its walls. The massive warship outside was preparing to strike. Daniel clutched the baby tighter. His heart raced, his mind filled with fear and anger. He knew now the greatest danger was not only from the hunters outside, but from the very ones who claimed to be guardians. And in that moment, Daniel Carter understood the truth. His simple act of rescue had placed him at the center of a war far greater than Earth. A war where even allies could not be trusted. The alien ship trembled as the massive warship above opened its weapons. The forest shook under the pressure. Trees bent. Animals fled. The night sky glowed red as beams of energy cut across the clouds. Inside the chamber, Daniel stood firm with the baby in his arms. The silver glow from the child spread through the ship like veins of light. The softer woman pressed her hands against the wall, speaking in her alien tongue. The ship responded with louder hums, shields forming around its body. The stern woman's eyes narrowed. "We cannot hold against them. Give me the air, with my command. This war will end." Daniel shook his head. "No, you're not protecting it. You're only protecting yourself." His voice was steady now. His fear had hardened into resolve. The baby's glow flared again, and Daniel felt its thoughts. "They will take me. They will burn your world. You must choose." Daniel's jaw tightened. He whispered, "I've already chosen." The warship outside unleashed another blast. The ship groaned, cracks of light racing along its walls. The stern woman stepped forward, her power swirling. "You are weak, human," she hissed. "The air deserves a ruler who understands strength, not pity." Before she could strike, the softer woman blocked her. The two clashed, light against light, their power shaking the chamber. Daniel shielded the baby as sparks of energy tore through the air. "Go," the softer woman cried. "Take the air to the core. Only there will it awaken fully. Only then can it defend itself." Daniel ran through the glowing passageways. The baby pressed close, behind him. The ship echoed with battle. The two sisters' voices roared in fury. He reached the core, a vast room where light pulsed like a living heart. The baby stirred, reaching its hand toward the center. Silver lines spread across the floor as if answering the call. Daniel set the child down gently. The baby's glow expanded, filling the chamber with brilliant silver fire. Daniel covered his eyes. The air vibrated, the hum of the ship growing into a roar. The baby floated, small but radiant, its markings blazing like stars. Above, the warship fired again. This time, the baby's power responded. A wave of light surged upward through the ship's hull, exploding into the sky. The blast met the warship's strike, shattering it. The massive vessel cracked, fire spilling across the heavens. Daniel watched in awe, his chest tightened. He had never seen such power, never imagined a child could summon such strength, yet the glow did not feel cruel. It felt protective. The baby drifted back into his arms, its silver eyes locked onto his, and in his mind came a whisper, clear and strong. Together. The ship steadied. The softer woman entered, her armor scarred, her face weary. She looked at Daniel with something like respect. "The air has chosen," she said softly. "And it has chosen you?" The stern woman stumbled in behind her, defeated. Her eyes burned with anger, but also fear. She spat. "A human cannot guide the air. This will doom us all." Daniel stood tall. "Maybe not," he said, "but I will protect this child. No matter what comes, that's something humanity knows better than anyone." The softer woman bowed her head slightly. "Then so be it. From this day, the bond is sealed. Where the air walks, you walk, and where you stand, humanity will stand." Outside, the remains of the warship burned in the sky. The forest glowed under falling embers. The world would see the scars. The governments would ask questions, and soon, others from the stars would come. But Daniel no longer felt only fear. He looked down at the baby resting peacefully in his arms. For the first time, he saw not a burden, not a weapon, but a future. He whispered, "We'll face them together." The child's silver eyes blinked, and the ship's walls pulsed in answer. A quiet promise echoed through Daniel's mind. This is only the beginning. And as the night gave way to dawn, Daniel Carter stood at the threshold of a new life. A human with no army, no crown, and no power but his own will, yet in his arms. He carried the air of an empire, a child who had chosen him. The galaxy would soon remember Earth, not as forgotten, not as weak, but as the world that stood when the stars came calling.